Members, we are back on the file. Moving to the top of the file, that's file item 11, pass and retain. We'll move to file item number 12, that's AB 39. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 39 by Assemblymember Medina, an act relating to search warrants.
Mr. Medina, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present AB 39, which is a measure that would streamline the search warrant process. The current process to issue and obtain a search warrant has proven to be very timely and cumbersome, particularly when a search warrant is needed after hours or on a holiday or weekend. AB 39 is a technical, bipartisan bill that passed out of Assembly Public Safety Committee with no votes. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 70, noes none. Measure passes. File items 13 through 18. Pass and retain. Moving to file item number 20. File item number 20 is ACR 48. Members, please direct your attention to Mr. Cooley. The clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 48 by Assemblymember Cooley, relative to Brain Injury Awareness, Treatment, and Prevention Month.
Good morning, colleagues. I rise today on behalf of my ACR 48 to designate the month of March Brain Injury Awareness, Treatment, and Prevention Month. Traumatic brain injury is an issue I've been active in the prior session. We've recently seen a great many studies that have identified concussions and brain injury as an issue of national importance and deserving national attention. Indeed, today, the U.S. News World Report reports that a couple out of Atherton have just given a $50 million donation to USC to focus on this problem. Last year, I authored Assembly Bill 2127, a bill limiting the amount of full contact high school football may hold to reduce brain trauma among our young student athletes. The governor signed this bill last July, and the next day it was in the national news. I respectfully ask your aye vote, and I'd like the first roll to be open for co-authors.
Seeing no discussion or debate, Mr. Cooley is asking the first roll be open for co-authors. With that, the clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors on ACR 48. Members adding as co-authors on ACR 48. Clerk will close the roll. There are 71 co-authors added. Members, please give your attention to Mr. Cooley as a very special guest introduction. I'm sorry, members. Let's take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Now, Mr. Cooley, you're recognized for your guest introduction.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. I'd like to introduce my guests who are here in the Capitol this morning on behalf of Brain Injury Awareness, Treatment, and Prevention Month. First, I'd like to introduce Dr. Stephanie Kulikowski-Hayner. She's the chair of the Brain Injury Association of California. She has served in this position for nearly 2 years and has been a certified brain injury specialist for over 20 years, instrumental in support of my legislation last year. Dr. Kulikowski-Hayner was most recently worked at the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. She is about to begin work at Stanford University as a manager in their Department of Neurosurgery's new Concussion and Brain Performance Center. I'd also like to introduce the gentleman to her left, Mr. George Visker, a resident here in Sacramento, who played for the San Francisco 49ers in the early 1980s. His career was cut short by several major concussions suffered while playing football. Mr. Visker has undergone several brain surgery. He does struggle to an extent with memory loss today, but he runs the Visker Group to raise awareness of concussions and traumatic brain injury and advocate for victims and their families and assist with treatment here in Sacramento in a facility near UC Davis. So I'm honored to have you here on the floor today in recognition of this month we recognize. Thank you for being here. Thank you all.
Members on the file item 21, AB 157. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 157 by Assemblymember Levine, an act relating to the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Levine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. One of the worst bottlenecks in the Bay Area evening commute occurs on Highway 101 North and Interstate 580 East approaching the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. To address this, the Bay Area Toll Authority under the MTC is proposing to add a third lane to the bridge, eastbound evening peak commute. Additionally, this project will include adding a bike lane to the bridge to close a significant gap in the 270-mile Bay Trail. Initial estimates for completion of this project were as long as 3 years. AB 157 is helping speed up that process by as much as 18 months by requiring that the design work be done concurrently with the environmental review. This is a very important issue in my district. Commuters need this third lane to be opened as soon as possible. The bill is supported by the Bay Area Council, the North Bay Leadership Council, the State Building Construction Trades Council, AFSCME, the MTC, the Transportation Authority of Marin, Mom, Apple Pie, hopefully all of you. There is no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. Say two-thirds bill members. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 71, noes none on the urgency. Ayes 71, noes 0 on the bill. Measure passes. File item 22, pass and retain. Moving to file item 23, AB 198. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 198 by Assemblymember Frazier, an act relating to vehicles.
Mr. Frazier, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. AB 198 is a common sense measure that will provide enforcement officers responding to traffic incidents with the flexibility to rapidly remove disabled vehicles and reduce traffic delays. Specifically, this bill enables a law enforcement officer to authorize a tow truck operator to travel down the right shoulder or center median in order to rapidly respond to a traffic incident. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Seeing no discussion or debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Measure passes. File item 24, AB 355. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 355 by Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, an act relating to unclaimed property.
Mr. Garcia, you may
Mr.
open.
Speaker and members, Assembly Bill 355 requires institutions that report safe deposit box to the state controller to include in that report any name on military awards and U.S. saving bonds, if that name is different from the registered owner of the safe deposit box. The state of California is currently in possession of more than $7.1 billion in unclaimed property belonging to approximately 27.9 million individuals and organizations. About 70,000 U.S. saving bonds are unclaimed, the majority of which have reached maturity and are no longer earning interest. This bill will help our veterans and their families to reclaim any military awards, as well as our constituents to claim their U.S. savings bonds. This bill passed the committee unanimously, and I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Seeing no discussion or debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 75, no 0. Measure passes. Moving to Senate third reading, file item 25. The clerk will read.
Senate Joint Resolution 2 by Senator Vidak and others relative to immigration.
Mr. Lackey, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, I'm honored to present Senate Joint Resolution 2, which calls upon the federal government to reform our broken immigration system. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very critical and sensitive issue that I'm very proud to stand in support of. My experience as a California Highway Patrol officer has made me very aware of the sensitivity of this problem. As I carried out my duties as a law enforcement professional in enforcing the law, there are numerous occasions where I looked in the eyes of young children who knew of only this country, who felt like my mission was to divide their family. That's disgusting. And it's heartbreaking. It's been 25 years since we've had the courage to address this issue in any kind of meaningful way. Our people deserve better. We have 11 million people in this country living in the shadows of uncertainty. We should be ashamed of that. So I stand proud in this presentation that calls upon our federal government to be responsible, to do their job. Our president and our legislators in Washington, D.C. have avoided this issue for decades. It's disheartening, and it's something that I hope that you will consider deeply, because is there anybody in this room that's proud of our immigration system? We need to do a better job of securing our borders and also providing a mechanism for legal status for those who deserve to live the American dream. And I ask for co-authors at this time, or consideration, or however you do that.
Thank you, Mr. Lackey.
First roll, or however, yeah. I'll get it eventually.
Thank you for the clarification. Mr. Chavez, you are recognized.
It's a hard act to follow, Mr. Assembly Member Humor. Clearly, the Republican Party is sending a very strong message to Washington, D.C. And I'm proud to be a co-author of this initiative, because we've now done it for 3 years in a row. In 2012, many of us Republicans got on board and said we need to do this. 2013, we talked across the state, telling our colleagues in D.C. they needed to solve this problem. And once again, Republicans are saying we need to solve this problem. The strongest reason I think we need to do it is it's the right thing to do. Recognizing the importance that immigrants have to the state. As I've mentioned before, and I'll mention again, it does not escape me that in my district in Camp Pendleton, I see many hyphenated names in the United States Marine Corps. They're not citizens, but they're serving our country and going in harm's way. Also, a party that claims to be so strongly supportive of family values, why we would ever support policies that would divide a family makes no sense to me. So let's send a very strong message to Washington, D.C., to both Democrats and Republicans, to get off the dime, solve this problem. Let's move America forward. I strongly support this bill.
Mr. Lejo, you are recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. As a former Assembly fellow, I respect the unique moments of history of this institution and this assembly chamber. For me, I see this as probably the first time where my Republican colleagues are leading a resolution in support of comprehensive immigration reform. I think they're sending a strong message to Washington that has failed for many years now, over 28 years, to find a compromise on comprehensive immigration reform. But now in the state of California, here at the state capitol, it is Republican members that are sending the strongest message, asking their Republican colleagues to do the same, including the top leadership, Kevin McCarthy, to let's find the right balance and allow a measure to move forward. 20 years ago, my first visit to the Capitol was to protest the inauguration of Governor Pete Wilson in January of 1995, shortly after Prop 187 passed. This moment right now on this floor shows how far California has come, that over 20 years later, now even my Republican colleagues are calling for a compromise on comprehensive immigration reform. I think this is a very important moment, and the strongest message that we could send out of California, the state with the largest number of undocumented immigrants, is that we can find bipartisan solutions here in Sacramento. Today, it's a senator from Bakersfield, but in the past, it was other colleagues of mine. whether it was my colleagues from San Luis Obispo or Ventura County or from the Central Valley that also joined in efforts calling for comprehensive immigration reform. I want to commend my colleagues for their important work on this issue.
Seeing and hearing no further discussion, Mr. Lackey, you may close.
Yes, I would just respectfully ask for your aye vote in your support of this measure. Thank you.
Mr. Lackey's requested the first roll be opened for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors on SJR2. Co-authors, members on SJR2, there are 63 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. I'm sorry. Members, this is a roll call vote. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who wish to vote. All members vote who wish to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 63, noes 1. Resolution is adopted. Members, moving to the consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second-day consent calendar.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 14 by Senator Fuller and others relative to arts education.
The clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. The consent calendar is adopted.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 16.
Ayes 73, no 0.
And Senate Concurrent Resolution 19.
Ayes 73, no 0. Moving to adjournments and memories, as well as additional announcements. Request to adjourn in memory. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Ms. Campos. Ms. Campos, you are recognized for your adjournment. Members, please take your seats. Please take your seats, members. Ms. Campos, you are recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to adjourn in memory of San Jose Police Officer Michael Johnson. Officer Johnson died this Tuesday night in line of duty. He gave his life while trying to save someone else's life. He was responding to a suicide call that turned into an ambush with a high-powered rifle. Officer Johnson was 38 years old. He was a native of San Jose and graduated from Gunderson High School, a 14-year-old veteran of San Jose Police Department. Officer Johnson was a field training officer. In this role, Officer Johnson was a mentor to younger officers. He trained cadets in their crucial first 3 months of field duty. He rode with them, taught them how to patrol San Jose streets and to keep them safe, and talked them through the challenging times of being a new police officer. A resident of San Jose, Officer Johnson graduated from the San Jose Police Academy and served his entire law enforcement career with the San Jose Police Department, helping the community he loved. He was known for the calmness he brought to a chaotic situation, the bravery he showed Tuesday night, and every night that he put his time in San Jose and when he put his uniform on. For his big heart, Officer Johnson is survived by his wife, Nicole, his parents, Kathy Decker and Daniel Johnson, and many other loving family members, and by the police department in the city of San Jose. San Jose and our state of California lost a great man Tuesday night. We lost a hero who made the ultimate sacrifice. Please join me in adjourning in his memory.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Mr. Kansen Chu, you are recognized at your desk.
Thank you, speakers and members. With a heavy heart, I also rise to adjourn in the memory of Officer Michael Johnson. I met Officer Johnson a couple times attending the graduation of San Jose PD Academy for the new cadet, and also many of the promotion ceremonies. And I know from the bottom of my heart that San Jose lost a very, very fine police officer. He's one of the 600 plus police officers that patrolling the city of more than 1 million people, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And my heart and prayer definitely go to his family, his loved ones, his friends, and all his colleagues and brothers and sisters in San Jose PD, as well as many of those lives that got cut short but due to the violence on the street. Thank you.
Mr. Lowe, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join my colleagues who also represent the city of San Jose in recognition and adjourning in memory of Officer Johnson. And I would just like to add, let us use this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to recognizing the contributions of public servants who put their lives out on the line each day in and day out. I can't but help think about my own brother who serves as a police officer as well. And I know each and every one of us, when this tragedy occurs, thinks about the family members and the extended family members of public servants and what this means. So again, let us use this opportunity to recognize and reaffirm our commitment to public service and recognizing the contributions of those who put their lives on the line. Thank you.
Mr. Cooper, you are recognized at your desk for your adjournment of memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to adjourn in memory of my constituent, Lisa Buchanan. At the young age of 41, Lisa passed away on March 22nd as a consequence of a short but well-fought battle with cancer. Her husband, family, and friends were by her side when she drifted off to be at peace. Lisa was a loving wife, mother, daughter, sister, and friend. An exceptional artist, cook, phenomenal baker, and a former track and field athlete, Lisa graduated from Woodland High School in 1996. She received her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from California State University, Sacramento in 2001. At the end of her life, she served the state of California with distinction as a research program specialist for the Board of Equalization. Lisa is survived by her husband of 10 years, Dwight Buchanan. They met when she was a teller at Golden One Credit Union, and he was a staffer for then Assembly Member Kevin Murray. He went to the bank to cash a check and returned the next day to ask her out for lunch. Many of you may know Dwight. He and his family have a long and rich history of working in the legislature. His mom, Fadine Buchanan, worked in the Capitol for 13 years, and his father, Gossett Buchanan, was an assembly sergeant for 15 years. And Dwight worked for former members Willie Brown, John Burton, and Kevin Murray. Lisa also leaves behind her beloved daughters, two very pretty girls, Naomi, age 7, and Monica, age 5. She also leaves her mother, brother, and several loving aunts, uncles, cousins, in-laws, and a host of friends. My heartfelt prayers go out to Lisa's family and friends. She was taken too young and will be deeply missed. Thank you for the opportunity to adjourn in her memory today.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Patterson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, oftentimes we rise with heavy hearts, as we have just done for Officer Johnson, taken way too early in the act of duty and service. Today I have the privilege of rising to recall Truman Campbell, who passed away peacefully in his sleep at 86 years old And Mr. Campbell was one of the real gentlemen of Fresno, California. He wore many, many hats in his lifetime. He was an attorney. He was a business owner, owned restaurants, an art gallery, many other things. Truman was active in Republican politics, California Republican Party chairman. He was a member of the Republican National Committee. He was one of the very few early Californians who thought that Ronald Reagan might be a good governor and president, and was part of that inner circle. Truman's son has often commented about Truman's participation in public life because of his deep love for the Constitution, his deep belief in the United States, and his fondness for the genius of our founding fathers. He was probably most successfully and most well-regarded for owning Fresno Silver Dollar Hofbrau for almost 40 years. If ever there was a place that was recognized as one of Fresno's famous watering holes, it was Truman's Silver Dollar Hofbrau. And you'd go in and you would see him sort of holding court in the back booth. He always had a shock of gray hair, distinguished look, smile, and a handshake for everyone. Due to failing health, he had to close the restaurant and then shortly passed away. But in his lifetime, he was a 50-year member of the Scottish Rite and Masonic Lodge. He was a Fresno County Sheriff's Office search and rescue team member. He also had a magnificent, beautiful singing voice. And oftentimes, I guess, before karaoke was as popular at the Hofbrau, Truman would be in the back raising his singing voice, and an awful lot of us would join in. And so we join his family, who will miss him greatly. Fresnans who enjoyed the Hofbrau, enjoyed his wonderful good company, enjoyed the service that he gave, particularly in the search and rescue with the Sheriff's Department, will be remembered. He will be missed, but we miss him with joy and sweetness because of a wonderful man with a life very, very well lived. Thank you for adjourning in his memory.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Members, please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. The session schedule is as follows. Spring recess begins upon adjournment of session today. We will stand in recess from March 27th through April 3rd. Mr. Alejo, for what purpose do you rise?
Announcements.
You may make your announcement.
Members, just in honor of Cesar Chavez Day, and before we go home, the Latino Caucus is hosting a reception upon adjournment of session in room 317, honoring our special guest, Becky Chavez, and the nephew of Phil Veracruz, Dr. Fernando Gapacin. We want to welcome all the Capital community to join us in room 317.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Members, our next floor session is on Monday, April 6th at 12 noon. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Ridley Thomas moves, Ms. Olson seconds, that this House stands adjourned until Monday, April 6th at noon. Quorum call is lifted.